It's Monday, May 8th, 2017. I'm your host, Sarah Mantle. We have a great show in store for you today. First up, we're going to learn more about the proposal to move school start times with Superintendent of Schools, Meg Mayo-Brown. Then we'll visit the Marston's Mills Public Library to find out what fun programs they have to offer. And finally, we'll find out what's happening at Cape Cod Community College with Communications Director Michael Gross. All of that on this episode of Barnstable Today. But first, let's go ahead and get a look at today's top headlines. The town collector position could soon be an appointed one rather than an elected position. Town council voted last week to amend the town's charter to make the change. Other changes include the clarification of town council term limits and changing the 10-year financial forecast to a 5-year financial forecast. Those charter review changes will now go before Barnstable voters this fall. Canopy sunshades will soon be installed on both Craigville Beach and Dowses Beach. The sunshades will allow beachgoers to get a break from the sun and will provide protection from the sun as well. The sunshades were a gift from the Glenna Cole Fund for Hope and are worth a little over $13,000. Well, the town of Barnstable is getting national recognition for healthy eating. The town of Barnstable takes the #2 spot in the 2016 Community Rankings for Healthy Eating report. The report is a part of Gallup ShareCare's State of American Wellbeing series. Naples, Florida takes the top spot, and Santa Cruz, California comes in at #3. Up next, we'll chat with Superintendent of Schools, Meg Mayo-Brown. She's going to tell us more about the proposal to adjust the high school start time. So Meg, thank you so much for joining me this morning. A big meeting at the recent school committee meeting. The School Start Time Committee made their recommendations. Let's talk about the process a little bit before we talk about the recommendations, because they really have taken a lot of time looking at this issue, weighing the financial piece, because it is costly to consider changing school start time. So let's talk about the history of this committee.
Well, thank you for that. It's really started well before I arrived in 2014. There was a small group of parents that were interested in hearing more about, you know, what if we altered the high school start time? Because medical research is telling us that, as we know as parents, right, that adolescents are on a different sleep cycle. It's often difficult due to their biological rhythms for them to fall asleep before 11, and they still need a certain requisite number of hours of sleep. So this committee really turned into the Healthy Youth Task Force that looked, again, back in 2014, looked at a variety of publications, both in the medical research field as well as the educational research field. And that committee in 2014-15 evolved into a special subcommittee of the school committee that included both Stephanie Ellis and Chris Joyce as members. and as well as parents, teachers, students, a guidance counselor, you know, a representative sample of those.
It was really interesting to hear you talk about the history during the school committee meeting last week, because I thought it was really interesting, the range of individuals that were selected. So you had a principal from Barnstable Intermediate School, you had someone from elementary, principals from the elementary level, but you also had parents
Yes.
as well. So
Right.
and other staff members to
Right.
really make sure. You had the head of sports at Barnstable High School.
Yes, yes.
So really, everyone could weigh in because we
Right.
know there are so many different issues when you talk about changing
Yes.
something like this.
Exactly. And so we looked at a variety of scenarios. The big thing came down to transportation. How could we do this in a model that wouldn't add $1 million to our transportation budget? So we knew we needed to stay in a 3-tier system, which is what we're in now. If we move to a 2-tier system, that adds anywhere from between $700,000 and $1 million to the budget. So we just, wanted to stay in the 3-tier system. So the school start time committee started to again investigate different scenarios within the 3-tier system. And in order to have a change in the high school start time, the way that we could do that was to geographically split the town in grades 4 through 7 and create 2 4 through 7 schools.
So rather, the current system right now, of course, we have the 4-5 school,
Yes.
and then we have the 6-7 school. So
Yes.
instead of having those 2 schools, it would be a longer age range.
Right.
And they would be geographically split. So it'd be 4 to 7
That's
at
right.
each school.
That's right. And
Which I know a lot of people have talked about how that would create one less transition for kids as well.
Right.
So I know a lot of parents would be excited to hear that
Yes.
proposal because, we know those transitions from different schools can be difficult for a child.
And that's a recurring theme that I've heard since I've been here. Our students make too many transitions, both from teachers and from parents. So, and the research says the more that you can reduce transitions, the better it is for students. So we presented that research as well.
Wonderful. So this is, a controversial proposal. I'm
Yes.
sure this is the time when residents can weigh in.
Right.
And how can they weigh in, and where can they put their thoughts?
So there's a couple of different ways, and again, we want to be super, super clear that these are just recommendations to the school committee. There's no scheduled vote. The school committee has not even scheduled a time to debate and discuss the recommendations. Phase 1 really involves us listening to stakeholders. We want to solicit feedback and input and then present that to the school committee. So I know I've heard that, from some some parents may be talking about, oh, this is rushed. There's no intent to rush it. We want, again, this is just our listening phase. And so we have 2 opportunities publicly, both at Barnstable High School at 7 o'clock this Wednesday and next Wednesday. So May 10th and May 17th, we'll present the recommendations and then solicit feedback and input. We also have a email address if individuals would like to submit feedback electronically. It's schoolstarttime@barnstable.k12.ma.us.
Okay, let's go over that one more time.
Yes.
School start time.
At barnstable.k12.ma.us. And if you go to our homepage, you'll also see there's a link to schools, to the recommendations. We've posted the PowerPoint that we presented to the school committee. The email address is there as well. And then our goal is to develop a frequently asked question guide so that we can answer perhaps some myths and misconceptions, but also provide some factual information around the proposal and the recommendations.
So important to get that community feedback.
Yes.
You're also holding those 2 information sessions. Do you have the date and time for those?
Yes, the 2 information sessions are May 10th and May 17th at 6 p.m. at Barnstable High School. We have it scheduled to take place in the junior-senior CAF, so individuals can enter right through the main entrance. However, if we have a larger crowd, we can immediately move to the PAC or to the night auditorium. We have a plan B for each.
Will there be time during these information sessions for individuals to ask questions? I mean, maybe they have some more questions about the change or the proposal before really weighing in or having an opinion on them.
Yes.
So really interesting for them to have time, I think, to ask those questions.
And so the way that the community forums are structured is that we'll present the PowerPoint that we presented to the school committee, so about a 20-minute PowerPoint, and then the rest of the time is devoted to hearing questions. We may not have all the answers, and that's part of the forum is to, to hear questions that we may not yet have the answers to and we have to figure out. We may be able to provide some answers. And then we want the feedback from our community. Do folks think this is in the best interest of our students? Is this a good idea? Is it not a good idea? Again, there's no timeline around implementation. There's no decision to implement. We have the luxury of time. We're not under a budget crunch. There's no forced timeline on this. The school committee can take all the time that they need and listen to the community and then start the discussion on the recommendations.
Wonderful. Well, thank you for stopping by, sort of answering our questions a little bit about the proposal. We, of course, will encourage everyone to attend. Thank you so much. We really appreciate your time.
Thank you. Great to be here.
My guest today, Superintendent of Schools Meg Mayo-Brown. Up next, we're going to visit the Marston's Mills Library. So Stacy, thank you so much for joining me today. Love being here at the Marston's Mills Library. You guys have so much going on. Just got a sneak peek at your website. You've been redoing the website. Wow, does that look amazing.
Thank you. Yeah, we're really excited about it. I think it's unique and it's beautiful. And we actually are working with Jenny Wiley, who's the former director of Cotuit Libraries, who's now a consultant, and I think she's done an absolutely beautiful job.
Wonderful, very exciting. Like you said, it's so different. It is not your typical website. It does not follow a template, and boy, does it make you just want to jump inside a book.
It does.
I love it. I love it.
Great.
And that'll be a great resource for residents. What all information will they be able to find on the website?
Well, on the website we will have you can of course order through CLAMS. That's first and foremost on there. It will tell you about all of our programs. For a small library, we are extraordinarily busy. We have different programs constantly between yoga and book groups and special programs. We have Girl Scouts here every week. We're very busy, so all of that will be on the website. It will have, we have lynda.com, which is an online tutorial site. We have links to free university classes everywhere. It's loaded. It's absolutely loaded with resources for people.
Wonderful. And it's going to be so easy to navigate too.
Absolutely.
Everything was laid out so beautifully. So congratulations on the new website.
Thank
Very
you.
excited to see that. Want to talk to you too about this event. I'm holding a flyer. Very excited about this event.
It's going to be fun.
Books and Booze Library Cruise.
Yes.
This is a Highline Harbor Cruise. How fun
is.
is this? What made you want to do this as a fundraiser?
It is. Well, we try to do new things all the time. We've done casino nights. We're involved with the Spectacle of Trees, which we absolutely love. We've done trivia nights. And we thought, let's do something. We're on the Cape. Let's do something nautical. My board came up with this. Thank you, board. It just sounded like it would be a fun thing to do.
I'm really surprised because it's so affordable.
It is.
Tickets are $30 a person in advance.
Right.
That is such an affordable price to get out, have fun on a boat, get out on the water in the Hyannis Harbor.
Yep, we'll have food.
And enjoy.
We'll have food. Highline has a cash bar. We're going to do a silent auction. We've got some really great gift baskets that we're going to be auctioning off, and it should be a lot of fun. Hopefully the weather's going to be nice. It's the end of June. It should be a nice warm evening.
Yes. That's when it finally starts to get warm here on Cape Cod. So June 24th, that's happening.
Right.
Tickets are $30 in advance or $35 at the door.
Absolutely.
Love it. Can't wait for that one.
Great.
Books and Booze Library Cruise.
Right, and it goes. It has a good cadence.
Love it. And then, of course, want to talk to you, too, a little bit about some other things that are happening here at the library. Or actually, you're working on a project with a local author, Kate Robotham Conway.
Yes.
Titcomb's Bookshop, the Marston's Mills Library, and I think, is anyone else pitching in to make this happen?
Yes. Actually, our youth services librarian, Lindsay Hughes, has been instrumental in getting all of this together. It's Titcomb's, it's Kate Conway, it's several other authors. They're going to be doing a writing workshop. We're working, the Barnstable school system has been absolutely wonderful in giving us the space to host all of these kids for these writing workshops this summer. It's going to be in August. It's going to be absolutely phenomenal.
And this is a full week-long workshop for budding authors.
Yep, and they're going to be able to get direct advice from published authors who they probably read anyway. So, I mean, they'll be getting insight and tips and instruction and a chance to network and work together, and We
Ask
think it's going to be
questions.
wonderful. Absolutely. Yeah.
And, it's such a cool thing to really, we've seen the Writers Conference here for adults
Right.
every August. That's held.
Yep.
But this is a really cool opportunity just for that age group. I think so interesting to inspire them at that age.
Well, they're good readers at that age, and they're very creative writers at that age. That's the age when you start to write your poetry and you start expressing all of these emotions that are jumbling around. And yeah, it really is. It's a difficult age to get into the library. They're big readers and they're big writers, but they're at that age where, they start walking a little bit behind their parents and they don't come into the library so much. But I know they will. I know we're already filling up really quickly for this. So they'll come to this, and it's a wonderful, wonderful opportunity.
I know you don't have an info sheet on you, but do
don't.
you know at all what the cost is to participate?
I don't have the details, but they will be posted on our brand new website.
Wonderful. So, good. So information on
Yes.
this event with the Teen Writers Conference in August will be on your website.
Absolutely will
What
be.
is your web address?
It is www.mmpl.org.
Wonderful.
It's short.
MMPL.org.
MMPL.
Great. Love it.
Yep.
And then anything else you want to fill us in on before we wrap up?
Oh, yeah. Well, we're also involved with the schools in another area. We're going to have little free lending libraries at the playgrounds of Barnstable United and West Village's schools. So this summer, when you're at the playground, you can take a book, leave a book. If you're watching the kids, you can grab a book and read it while you're there. And I think it's going to be fun. They're really cute. And,
I love the little free libraries.
too.
There's a few around town. There's one in Barnstable Village.
There is.
I think someone was talking about trying to put one up at a beach here locally.
We've been trying, yes. We've been
tough.
trying to do that as well.
But this
yeah.
is great. Right, have access to free books right at the library, or
At the
at the playground.
At the playground.
At local schools.
Yep, it should
And
be fun.
so when that works, how does it work? Will you stock the little
We'll
free library?
stock it. We'll stock it, and then we just ask that people use it as a lending library. And if they have a book that they've finished and they want to pass it along, they can feel free to put it in there.
Leave one in there.
Absolutely. I mean, we don't want boxes of books that you've drug out from your basement, but and even exchange is great.
Yeah, if you have a book you want to share with others, throw it in that
Absolutely.
little free library. Well, wonderful.
Absolutely.
Thank you for joining us
Thank
today,
you for
Stacey.
having
so
us.
nice to see you again.
It's nice to see you too.
And we'll come back and hopefully we'll all get tickets to this Books and Booze library.
It's going to be fun.
cruise. Yeah.
Great. Thank you,
so
Sarah.
much, Stacey. Talk to you soon.
You too.
My guest today, Stacey Heavener. She is the library director here at the Marston's Mills Public Library. Joining me now live on the phone, Michael Gross. He is the Communications Director for Cape Cod Community College. Thank you so much for joining us this morning.
Oh, my pleasure.
We have some really exciting things to talk about today. A student is actually getting a little bit of recognition.
Absolutely. This past Friday, Scott Mayshall, who is from Falmouth, he's our student trustee, has been very, very active here on campus, joined 28 of his colleagues, if you will, from around the state at an amazing ceremony at the Grand Staircase in Boston on Friday, and was named among the 29 who shine. These are the very best representatives of public higher education in Massachusetts. There's quite a nomination process where the state is looking for individuals that would be involved as future leaders in professional activities, that they've been contributing to civic and economic events and activities in their area, have academic achievement. There's quite a long list of requirements, and Scott rose to the top from nominations here on campus. And he's quite a young man. He is looking forward really to going into business finance. He has found the community college as really the launching point for his life, having come to college just a little bit later than others. He's somewhere in his mid-20s. But it's really interesting that along with this event, the honoree gets to choose a member of the faculty who have been their mentor through all of this. And in fact, this individual was honored as well. And Scott chose a professor who some people may know, Professor Michael Betlick, who's been very active in entrepreneurship here on the Cape and on campus for a long time. He's known to some as Captain Mike. He is a real personality. But he is, and what Scott says about this faculty member, I think is critical. It's how our faculty take care of our students. And he says Professor Betlick has shaped and positively influenced an immeasurable number of students with encouragement and support as a teacher, advisor, and a friend. He said, I began building a rapport with him, and he blends logic and creativity, which is seldom seen, and something I have tried to emulate as a student. An amazing honor, and Scott was there, and as it turns out, President Cox was the master of ceremonies for this event, since he serves this year as the president of the Community College Council, all of the various presidents of community colleges in Massachusetts. It was a great day Friday.
Wonderful. So great to hear students being recognized for their hard work, but then also for them to, really thank someone that's been very influential in their life. As we know, teachers can make such a big difference in our lives. So really, it must have been very heartwarming.
It really is. And if I can give another shout out to Professor Bedlick, the public may not know, but in fact, the Chocolate Sparrow, a very, very popular coffee bar and restaurant in Orleans, was started by a student out of Michael Bedlick's class who began serving hot chocolate from a little cart on our campus. And began with entrepreneurship and working, and Michael mentoring her, and that entire restaurant, a wonderful place up there, by the way. It's a neat shop. In fact, began right out of Cape Cod Community College.
Wow.
And again, that same kind of mentorship that Scott Maciel is talking about took place there as well. Just an amazing story.
Wow, you learn something new every day, Michael. I have to say, I had no idea that's how the Chocolate Sparrow came to be. Glad to hear that story. It's very heartwarming as well. And I see another Cape Cod Community College student is making waves, so to speak.
Yeah.
Erica Perini of Sandwich actually just attended a nationwide conference. Tell me a little bit about this.
Yeah, amazing. Last week was a big week around here. Well, and as we get headed toward commencement, it tends to be that way. Erica is among the first in our aviation technology class up in Plymouth, and she's a young woman, which in and of itself is pretty unusual. But she's also an amazing student and truly focused on excellence in this industry. She, in fact, has a straight A-plus average in a course program that's incredibly intense. They're going through an entire year to position themselves to be able to repair airplanes, both the main frame of the airplane and the engines. And Erica was brought to West Palm Beach, Florida by the National Business Aviation Association as one of the best students in this area across the country. And she's down in West Palm over the last 3 days, meeting with hundreds of people within the industry, well over 160 companies that fix and repair airplanes, make parts for them, and manage repair facilities at various airports around the world. And if the public, I think, often doesn't really understand, why the college went in this direction to open this program. It actually began because right here, Cape Air has a desperate time trying to find aviation mechanics. And Boeing, the national leader in aviation, puts out a look at the industry every year, and they kind of do a long-term market projection. And if you can imagine that by 2035, Boeing is saying we need 679,000 aviation mechanics because so many are retiring. Well, Erica just got an amazing, all-expenses-paid trip to go down and show off just how good she is and how good our students are up here, and that bodes well for us. We're getting more and more people within the industry looking at our program. We're rather hoping they're not going to steal our students away before they graduate. There is such a desperate need for maintenance personnel. But can you imagine getting an all-expenses-paid trip to be right in the middle of the industry that you so want to join? What an experience for her.
Yeah, so cool. Love seeing Cape Cod Community College students making waves here and throughout the nation.
Absolutely.
Thank you for joining us today, Michael. Really appreciate it, and look forward to chatting with you again next week.
Absolutely. Bye-bye now.
Bye-bye. Our guest today, Michael Gross, he's the Cape Cod Community College Communications Director. Well, so much more to come. Up next, let's take a look at the board, committee, and commission meeting schedule. Now let's find out what's happening around town in today's community calendar. The Hyannis Public Library is inviting the community to share their memories of Hyannis and Hyannisport during President John F. Kennedy's administration. Did you sit at Veterans Park to watch the helicopter land? Maybe your dad worked overtime at the summer White House. Join in to recount your memories of that time in history, or just stop by to listen as others talk about their experience during the days of Camelot. Attendees are encouraged to bring photos and memorabilia to show off. The event takes place Thursday, May 18th from 6 to 8 at the Hyannis Public Library. Well, you can improve your balance, you can stretch and build strength with a free yoga class. Yoga Neighborhood offers free chair yoga every Wednesday at the Hyannis Youth and Community Center. This is an ideal class for someone who struggles getting up and down off the floor. A chair yoga is held every Wednesday in the Shepley Room at the Hyannis Youth and Community Center at 10 a.m. Thank you so much for tuning in today. We're going to be back tomorrow with another great show for you. Tomorrow we will chat with Chief of Police Paul McDonald. We'll talk with DPW Director Dan Santos and so much more. For Barnstable Today, I'm Sarah Mantle.